Hello and good morning to our listeners from around the world. I want to welcome you to another edition of This Morning with Soulivity, broadcasting live from our studio in the nation's capital and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and I am so glad that you're here with us. I'm joined today by my very special friends, Dr. Chanel DeGuzman and Sheila Applegate. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Listen, before we begin, I want to just let everybody know, listen, we're broadcasting live and we want your questions, your comments, and your thoughts. Just post them to our live chats on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll answer any questions that you have. Plus, let us know where you're listening from. If you're out of the country or here in North America, please just let us know where you are and we'll do a shout out. Ladies, I wanted to start today's first hot topic. There's this story from a New York Times story on the recent mass shooting, and it goes like this. As gunshots erupted on the vast Michigan State University campus late on Monday, killing 3 students and injuring 5 others, many on campus felt a chilling sense of familiarity. They were just children when the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, killed 26 students, teachers, and staff members in 2012. 9 years later, the Oxford High School shooting in a nearby township outside of Detroit left 4 teenagers dead. Now, as young adults, they had to make it to college, and it was taking place all over again. Woo! Dr. Chanel, this eerily reminds me of a story that you were telling us about before this show about the rise of trauma within teenagers, specifically girls.
Yes.
Would you tell our audience a little bit about that article?
Sure. And Brian, honestly, before I do, I just want to connect with the the Michigan State community and family. I am a Michigan Wolverine. I'm, just a throws away from Lansing. And
Yeah.
of course, Brian, this is your hometown as well.
Yeah.
And, I just feel like I have to, acknowledge and honor and just give my heartfelt sympathy and condolences to those families who lost their kids, their babies, what I consider still babies. It is a very sad time. All our flags here, Brian, are at half staff,
Wow.
all around the state. And even,
Wow.
I guess last night at U of M, there was a rally on the Diag, just to show the solidarity. Anybody here in Michigan knows about the big rock we have at U of M's campus.
Yes. Yeah.
There was a honoring of MSU. So just all around, we're coming together because it hits everybody here in our
Yeah.
state,
Yes, it does.
And
Yes,
so,
it does.
and speaking of the article that you're mentioning, so I woke up on Tuesday morning and learned of the tragic, actually from This Morning with Soulivity. I guess I was out Monday night, and then the during the reporting, I learned that the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, just released their latest findings on Monday, stating that teenage girls are increasing and showing a rise in persistently sad and hopelessness,
Wow.
and that 30% have seriously considered dying by suicide. And that's been a rise of nearly 60% over the last 10 years. So every other year, this survey comes out, and the survey consisted of over 17,000 U.S. high school students. So it appears that it's a representative sample,
Right.
and that 40% of girls and boys reported feelings of sad or just hopelessness just within the last year. Now, 40% of the girls reported, experiencing those feelings even more than the boys.
Mm.
And then something that I don't know that we've talked a lot about yet on this morning with Soulivity, but in particular, the LGBTQ plus community
Mm.
has also experienced a hike among those who identify as, gay, bisexual, or questioning, said that they are struggling with their mental health. And it just shows that, there's stigma, there's bullying, there's violence against our teenagers, and in particular, our teenage girls. And it's something that, we really need to stop and pause and talk about, and maybe start to just unpack, what this article is saying, this report that's come out, because it also impacts the suicide rate, the sexual violence,
Mhm.
and just the overall anxiety and overall depression, especially among our girls, because our girls are experiencing it higher than our boys.
Mm.
And then our LGBT community is experiencing it higher than our heterosexual teenagers.
Wow.
So let me just stop there, Brian, and at
Yeah.
least get you and Sheila's initial reactions just to some of those findings that the CDC has shared just on this past
Wow.
Monday.
Wow. Sheila, what are your thoughts right now?
Well, I'd like to just jump back for just a second to the shooting and just send my love and compassion to all the students involved, including and especially those who experienced it, twice in their life. I have a unique perspective with that because I'm one of the only SU students to return from England the year of Pan Am 103, where I lost
Oh,
35 of my friends. So I
wow.
just wanted to share that, and anyone listening to know,
Mm.
I went through something similar, and it does shape you and change you, and it's difficult to move through, but I believe it led me to be more passionate and do more for the world, and I think that that can happen to others. So I just wanted to speak directly to them for a second, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
going to the mental health, as a therapist, I have um, a, two perspectives of this. I the first thing that comes to mind is that we're, all the laws, all this chaos in politics that are taking away rights of um, women and are impacting our children, the girls that are growing up, and young ladies, and then also the same thing with the LGBTQ. So I think we have to look at legislation and the news in all of these situations, the impact of that. But then the positive thing is that it's also that mental health is becoming more normalized, more accessible.
Mhm.
And so people are identifying it more and having services to receive it more, which is the positive tide to me that I think could also increase those numbers.
Mm.
Absolutely. Brian, what are
Mm.
your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad that the government is doing more in-depth studies about um, the health and welfare of our teenagers, um, and that they're looking at, you know, how they are doing emotionally because um, I think we've seen definitely since the 90s this rise in just specifically mass shootings. I mean, there's been a rise of different violence specifically over the last decade, a rise in racial violence and societal violence toward people of color, people of different sexual orientation, um, and that's got to have an effect emotionally on people. And so, while my heart just aches for our youth, and our brothers and sisters and non-binary folks, who are young and are going through this. At the same time, I think that I'm just glad that they're being seen and that their pain is being seen. And so that's where I am right now with
Mhm.
with this.
Yeah. You know, both of you all just reminded me of that additional acknowledgement by, like the government doing
Yeah.
this study and maybe hopefully providing more funding for education for parents and for teachers. At my kids' school, we now have mental health days where
Oh,
the
that's beautiful.
students are able to take the day off to focus on their mental health. So whether that's sleeping in, whether that's, going to do something fun or being with friends, I think that is one way that our school is acknowledging this increase of, mental health concerns and challenges. And I really do applaud our school for doing that. I wanted to also mention a little bit about the violence against our girls right now.
Yeah.
There's an increase in violence of girls inflicting violence on others, and then girls also receiving the brunt. And I don't know if you all know about the case of Adriana, I think it's Cush. She was
Mhm.
only 14 years old and she was bullied. She was actually beaten up in the hallway, and that video then was posted, so further humiliation. And then unfortunately, and with a really sad heart, she committed suicide days
Mm,
later.
mm.
And this young girl is 14. I have a 14-year-old, so maybe we're talking ninth grade, high school, probably her first freshman year in high school. And just the increase in violence and the senselessness of the whole increase in violence, and in particular against girls. We also know that girls are also experiencing more issues of sexual assault and even
Mhm.
rape. Um, you know, Personally, I was sexually harassed in high school
Mhm.
long, long time ago, and to know that it's still happening, even within my close circle, to know that girls are still experiencing this. I hear this from the moms that they're still experiencing, sexual pressure, sexual, assaults in school, or around the school field, as it were, during athletic games and that sort of thing. So there's also that issue as well, as in addition to the bullying, and, which I'm sure is causing feelings of, isolation and the anxiety and the depression that they are also experiencing.
Wow. Wow. You know, everybody, we're going to keep it right here. We're going to keep talking about this because there's a lot more to talk about. And we want to get your take on a lot of these things. In fact, what was your immediate reaction to this report, especially with the fact that here you have teenage girls that were part of Sandy Hook in Newtown, and then they have to go through it again once they get to college and that trauma. So let's all think about that. Post in our chat if you have a question or thought, just post that into the chat. And we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about this rising tide of teenage trauma. We'll be back in just about 2 minutes. So stay here with more of This Morning with Soulivity. Hey there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoy the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. And we are back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. I'm joined by my very special friends, Dr. Chanel DeGuzman and Sheila Applegate. Good morning again to both of you. We are talking about the rising tide of teenage trauma, specifically in our girls and others. Sheila, what are your thoughts right now?
Well, I'm thinking about the shifts in our world over the last few decades and the extremism that's coming to the surface, as well as the impact of social media and mainstream media's trend for sensationalism. And I just feel like that is amplifying the situation and at the same time exposing it. So I keep saying this, but I feel like I'm seeing the positive and the negative in each part of it as
Right.
we look forward.
Right.
Because I think there were a lot of people that were experiencing these things before that didn't even have a voice to speak up or a place to speak up.
What about you, Dr. Chanel?
I agree with you, Sheila. The social media, I think, amplifies everything. And I know my daughter is not gonna really like me for using her as examples, but, you know, we take photos out in the snow. She doesn't have on her coat, and she takes 1,000 photos, and then, of course, you take the best one, and those are the ones that you upload on Instagram or social media, right?
Right.
So
Right.
your whole, existence on social media is your highlight reels, those things that are almost picture perfect. And that causes everybody to up their game. So everybody's constantly upping their game because what you see is almost, Brian, almost perfection.
Right.
And,
Right.
imagine me standing now I've got my coat on, bundled up, taking pictures of her out in the snow. She doesn't have on, her coat and she has on her outfit, right? But just imagine everybody's upping their game and imagine the pressure, the social pressure to keep up and to look the part, especially among our girls. So I know there's an increase because I see it in my own household, where as in the 6th to 8th grade, there was one routine for getting ready. Now in high school, there's another routine. It takes longer. There's more questions about
Right.
how do I look? Does this look right? So I know there is for some girls the added pressure of how do I look? How do I look perhaps to the opposite sex? And putting that additional pressure on is another layer. I think that is causing some, lack of confidence, some anxiety, and then that social pressure to look a certain way and to make sure that I'm looking the part. And social media is amplifying all of that.
Absolutely. The both of you were talking. All I could think of as both of you were talking was, man, I remember when I was, that age, all I had to worry about was, okay, what am I wearing to school? Getting good grades. And maybe, even if we went out, that was out. But at my home, I did not have to worry about, how did I look, how I was presenting myself, and that kind of thing. I mean, we'd be on the phone, right? We would talk on the
Mhm.
phone until my
Mhm.
parents would say, get off the phone.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but now it's like, our teenagers, especially our girls, um, there's this additional layer of anxiety because it's like they have to look a certain way all the time, or they
Mhm.
feel like they have to do that.
They
And I
feel
think
like
that,
they have to.
yeah, I mean, I see these images on social media again. Not to say that social media isn't good. There's a lot of good in it as well, but
Sure.
there's a lot of unintended consequences that have happened. I mean, while we have a couple minutes, um, we're all parents. What do you think? I mean, how do we navigate when all these different sources of information, and also different sources of trauma are affecting our kids?
Well, Brian, let me just jump in real quick because I want to make sure we amplify some of the reasons why, because
Yeah.
I did have the benefit of asking my daughter just this morning and,
Actually, yeah,
and
that's
doing my
even better.
research, right?
Absolutely,
This is a
absolutely.
14-year-old ninth grade in high school now. And I asked her, what's really going on? And I said, what are your peers experiencing? What do you see? And she said, some of them are lonely. So she said loneliness as one of the causes. And she also mentioned, Brian, social anxiety. And
Mhm.
so in my mind, I know what it is, but I wanted to know what it was in her words. And she just said, feeling anxious around too many people. And so maybe
Mm.
if you're an introvert and all your energy is being sucked out of you with all these people, perhaps, but how you deal in new environments and how you navigate and making new friends and putting yourself out leads to anxiety as well. So that's something we might want to, revisit.
Yeah. Sheila, I mean, you're a parent as well. What are some of the things that you do with your children or
Well,
have
mine
done?
are grown now, but they're still experiencing some. One of my children is experiencing social anxiety going back out into the world after working at home and not having socialized as much. And I know I experienced that after COVID. Yeah, I mean, I have that in myself as well.
Right, right, right.
Really shy, which doesn't seem like it would be when I'm on all these shows and stuff, but moving into that area. So I think that just knowing that we're all experiencing that. But as a parent, I would like to look at going back to if we can catch it as early as possible, how we're behaving with our children. I think that one of the reasons the girls are showing more um, depression is that they've been just by society more accepting, like they've been expected to be more emotional. They may be more in tune with their emotions. So I don't want to overlook the boys in this situation and realizing
Absolutely.
we need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
have that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Listen, this is such a great topic.
Yeah.
Um, I know we've got to move on a little bit, but let's make sure we come back and revisit this one because there's so much more to talk about. And giving, I think specifically parents things that they can do to, help their children cope with all this additional things that are in their world. Um, so let's make sure that we come back to this at some point next time. Listen, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Hey, we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. We want to leave you with a few tips in regards to how to support your teenager in dealing with trauma. So, Dr. Chanel?
Thank you, Brian. And Sheila, to your point, yes, and this can apply to boys as well. But in particular for girls, we want to make sure that make sure that we're aware of potential red flags. So when we think they're being moody, which, the majority of the time it seems like they're being moody, and they start to pull away from the family and, they hide out and camp out in their rooms, those might be subtle red flags to look into something that could be deeper, such as depression, such as anxiety, that maybe would warrant a conversation. So here are a couple tips, and this is called, from the article, a universal safety plan or universal safety planning. Number one, ask the teen who they would call if they were feeling overwhelmed. So already have somebody in mind, and identify, number two, those trusted adults and have their telephone numbers handy. Now, this could be both for the teenager and the parent as well. And then lastly, thirdly, look at alternatives or distractions that could help a young person get through a rough patch until you're able to get maybe more clinical help if that situation warranted. And then when I asked my daughter what she would think you should do, and she just said, do more of the things that you like to do. So the more things that, fill your heart with joy, do those things more. And even if you don't feel motivated, sometimes maybe that's where the parent will just come and grab the child and say, let's go out driving today, or let's go walk around the block, just to get them out of their room and get some
Right,
sunlight, right?
right, right,
So the
right.
bottom line is to try to do something that you enjoy, and then have a list of people you can call, that the student can call if they start to feel overwhelmed.
Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Whew, whew. I think about just the weight of the world that must be on our youth in today's times. I mean, they're having to, quote unquote, grow up so much faster than any of us had to, because of just all the information and everything that's available to them. So thank you
Yes.
for that. This was a great topic. And again, I want to revisit this and go into even in more depth about it at some point in the near future on another This Morning. Sheila, you have a fantastic topic that we were talking about before the show. Why don't you tell everybody about that?
Yes. So I recently watched the documentary Descendants. And just to give you a little background about what that is, if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix, and it's about the Clotilda, which is the last known slave ship to come to America, and it came near Alabama, near Mobile on the river, and it came in 1808, and that's 50 years later than when it was illegal to bring them in. And so the owner burnt the ship, and it was buried in the river.
Right.
And the descendants of the slaves, or the people who arrived on the land, never became slaves for any length of time, or no generation was born into slavery. And so they have this community that they have developed for many years, but it's been kind of overtaken by industrialization. But they recently discovered the ship, and so it follows the families. And one of the things that struck out for me is the dedication of all of these generations later, how dedicated they are to their ancestors and finding the truth of it. And there's one man, he's a young man, and his family has been watching over the cemetery for these generations, and now he's in charge. And he talks about going to the cemetery and talking to his ancestors. He literally goes and
Wow.
talks to all of them, and a lot of people in that community talk to their ancestors. So my question to you two is, do you feel like you reach out for support from your ancestors, and do you communicate with them?
I really appreciate this topic, Sheila, because it's something that I'm not as familiar with, and I know you have a great deal of wisdom and experience, direct experience in this realm, to say the least, right? But I will tell you, Sheila, I have practically zero connection experience with talking to my loved ones beyond saying goodbye when they transition. The only time that I honestly remember, even channeling or connecting to a past loved one was when my living uncle, his name is, I'll say Uncle Larry Clay, he was encouraging me one day, and he was saying, you have to remember your ancestors, and you have to remember your aunts and your grandmothers who had such incredible strength and just wisdom. And he was helping me to get in touch with that for the very exact
Wow.
situation that I was going in at that moment. But I
Wow.
gotta tell you, that was the only time that I did that, and that was through his encouragement. So I'm very open to this now, especially now because there are no accidents with us connecting, Sheila. I'm very open now to this, but unfortunately, I don't have much experience in this area.
Interesting.
Well, I think y'all know my answer to this, but maybe the audience doesn't. um, I've had different experiences in my life that have come where I had to know that I knew that this was that this was real. From my grandparents in different forms, my dad, who I feel is always with me, and there's like things that happen that I'm like, okay, there's no way that that's a coincidence, that's like just something that just happened. Um, I think that it's part of part of my belief system, right? That our loved ones, are never gone. They just leave this body and connect with us in a different way, right? We just have to be aware of it. This is such a great topic, Sheila. Let's stay on this. We're going to take a quick break, and we will have some more conversation on, do our ancestors speak to us from beyond? We'll be back in about 2 minutes, everybody. Hey there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, Joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. And we are back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. We are talking about our ancestors and whether or not they speak to us from beyond. I know your answer, Sheila.
Well, it's actually interesting. Of course, I communicate with my parents and some of my aunts and uncles. When I thought about ancestors, I don't go past that. My grandparents once in a while, but I just thought that was interesting because we have a kind of disconnect in our ancestry. So, but I do want to say that some of the ways I connect with them is like cooking. If I'm cooking a traditional recipe,
Ooh,
I can
yeah.
feel my aunt or my
Yeah.
grandpa was a big cook coming in with me.
More
And so I think
paprika.
there's a
More
lot of ways.
paprika.
I'm German, so there's more vinegar and things
Oh, more
like
vinegar, yeah, right.
But I was wondering, Dr. Chanel, do you ever have like moments that maybe, because when I talk to people, I find that they actually do communicate more. They just think it's something that should be bigger, but maybe they're, think about that, their parents, or have a conversation with a loved one in their head, or a bird flies up and they think of him. Do you have anything like that you do, Dr. Chanel?
Sheila, I wish I could give you something, but
Okay, start there.
but honestly, okay, I cannot. But on a very serious note, Brian knows this, and Sheila, you may know this. I don't know, but I did honestly and seriously lose my brother, my younger brother, back
Yeah.
in November.
Yes.
And to this day, actually, just maybe a couple days ago, something happened. Something got triggered where I did remember something. Actually, his birthday recently passed in January, and so that was that first marker for our family. But it makes me feel like I still have more grieving to do because I barely acknowledge it because it feels like something has happened that wasn't supposed to happen. And in this case, unlike maybe some of the other like elderly
Mhm.
relatives who have transitioned where eventually expect that kind of transition. I didn't expect this for my brother, but
Right.
honestly,
Right.
in either case, I have not been able to connect or consciously, think a lot about that connection. But I do look forward, honestly, to figuring out what I'm dealing with my brother because there's been a total avoidance, almost like this misbelief or, just not really accepting fully. And it kind of surprises me, but I am definitely conscious of it. So I don't know if that says anything or not, but yeah, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, to me that
Mm,
says a lot, and I think it actually gets me a little bit excited for you because I think
yeah.
that it's this
Yeah.
type of a death that is often the gateway, and that you're sensing your brother's not going to let you go until you connect with him, and um, and I think in that sense, that grief pushes you towards that
Hmm.
you'll see a whole new opening. That's my feeling about it. But I feel like when we connect, even if we think it's our imagination to start with, it is helpful on the grief process because
Yeah.
we can continue one of the things they said in the movie is that someone said we have to remember to let our ancestors evolve. And
Mhm.
I think that, you get a new relationship that's
Mhm.
beyond the BS
Mhm.
Right.
when you're in those.
Yeah.
I was as we were talking about doing this topic, you know me, guys. I always go in, I start doing some research because that's that lifelong learner in me. And I was discovering more and more that African culture
Mhm.
there's an inherent part of African culture that does have a belief system in that, listen, we just when we die, that's just not the end.
Mhm.
Right.
That people pass over and they become spirit or whatever, and that we can call upon them to support us and guide us and lead us. And it is very prominent, even with friends of mine that are immigrants from Africa, not forced immigrants, but that came here, that they always talk about their ancestors in this way. And I think it's beautiful. And I think that it's a part that's inherently in African Americans, even though they may not connect with it, or been taught to connect with it, that there's something about like this slave ship. There was part of the I actually watched the documentary, by the way. It was at
Mhm.
the Smithsonian, the National Museum of African
Oh, neat.
American History and
Mhm.
Culture. It was free. I just wish that people would have known more about it. But anyway, when they found that slave ship,
Mhm.
the descendants of those people felt a sense of peace that they had
Mhm.
not felt before because they
Mhm.
actually could connect with their ancestors physically, like the
Mhm.
physical evidence that they were here and where they were brought from. So
Yeah.
that's just my 2 cents on it.
One thing I will add is that I know that I come from a very rich culture and a
Mhm.
very rich ancestry. So I do acknowledge and honor those who have gone before me, those who have paved the way, because I know I'm a
Yeah.
beneficiary
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
that. And so in that way, I definitely am conscious and grateful for what has been imparted into me from my ancestors and those who have gone before me.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Sheila, man, one thing about this that I didn't know was that Questlove was part of um, he was I think he was the executive producer for,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting and that he even said that he was blown away by the discovery and the history and what was going on. I mean, what was going on at that time, because this was, um, I think it was 1808 was when the transatlantic slave trade was banned here in the United States. And so this happened many years after that. So just an incredible story. Highly recommend it. Everybody go out and check out The Descendants. I think it's on Netflix. I think it's available on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's where I watched.
Yeah, so go check it out, and watch that. Listen, we'll be right back with more This Morning with Soulivity.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need, not want, but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together, we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on Soulivity TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. Ladies, this has been a really good show.
It's been
Every
Wow.
show is a great show.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and we would pick some topics that would be like, oh my gosh, like opening my heart
Yeah.
so much. I mean, from our teenage girls and youth to talking about our ancestors, I think those are nice end caps. You know,
Absolutely.
those are nice end caps. Before we get out of here, I know both of you have things that you're doing. And so I want to make sure that we tell our audience a little bit about what's going on. And so, Dr. Chanel, I'll go to you first.
Perfect. You know, Brian, as I'm thinking about the young girls and their moms, it just makes me want to make sure I share my message even more. So I do offer a 12-week coaching program for
Mhm.
women in particular. This is for highly successful women who find themselves hitting a glass or a personal ceiling that prevents them from getting to where they really want. And then eventually we'll be reaching out to those girls because they're watching their moms too, right? And so if you would like to talk and just figure out where you are, where you want to go, and what is that ceiling that you're hitting up against to get you to that next level, just text me and Brian will share that information. But I do offer a free coaching session to get us started.
Absolutely. You can reach Dr. Chanel at area code 313-410-9909. Great. And Sheila, I know you have some stuff going on too.
I do. Well, every month on the 8th on Aspire platform, I do the Matrix of Illumination, where we do a meditation and bring in messages from the divine. And also, I have a soul connection session that you get a discount with if you use the link that Soulivity provides. And that is a session where if you are interested in communicating with your loved ones or ancestors, I can both bring in information from them and bring messages directly from them to you, and I can help you connect to them, because my intention is always not just to share information that I access, but to help you have a more deep relationship with your loved ones so that you know that love never ends.
Absolutely. And you can go to Sheila's page on Soulivity at soulivity.com/Sheila-Applegate for more information. Listen, again, this was such a great show. Can we do it next week?
Yeah, let's do it next week.
We can definitely do this next week, Brian. And we can even, we can end the week tomorrow.
Exactly. I want to wish everybody coming up a happy President's Day on Monday. Also, remember, Black History Month isn't over, people. You can learn more about African American heroes by going to blackhistorymonth.gov, where they have a lot of resources about and content about these fantastic Americans, including live events that may be happening in your area. Again, go to blackhistorymonth.gov. Also, we want to remind you that we have a great mailing list, And so sign up at soulivity.com/this-morning, or go on our QR code, which is live on our website. Ladies, again, fantastic show. We've got more to talk about in the upcoming days. Any final thoughts that you're thinking about that you want to share with the audience before we get out of here?
I'm thinking about those mental health days, and I think whether your school does it or not, if you're a parent, let your children have them.
Mhm.
And if you're a grown-up and don't have kids, have them yourself.
Absolutely. And Dr. Chanel?
I agree, Sheila. I think we all need to take mental health days and not feel guilty about stepping away. So you all know that I'm an entrepreneur. I actually took Saturday and Sunday off last weekend.
Hello. Hello.
Which was amazing, amazing. So I came back refreshed Monday. So sometimes we need to step away, and we need to know when we're reaching that, point where we need to have a break. So mental health days, yes.
And that's a perfect segue into one of our new sponsors and products advertisers, MoonPod. Because while you're taking that mental health day, you can always go in and relax in the new revolution of the beanbag chair. And they are fantastic. I have one in my home, and you will not regret it. You want to go, again, just go to our product sponsors on our This Morning page at soulivity.com/this morning. And remember to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to all of them, and you'll get updates on the fantastic things that we're doing. Additionally, coming up later today at 12 noon is another fantastic The Steps to Happiness show with Teresa Greco. She'll be live right here on Soulivity TV. And so, listen, on behalf of all of us, I want to say thank you for joining us again for another episode of This Morning with Soulivity. We hope that you come back and join us every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern for our live broadcast, or listen at 9 a.m. Pacific on KMET 1490 a.m. for all of you out on the West Coast. Listen, until next time, from Dr. Chanel, Sheila, and myself, keep on having real conversations that empower and create that life of high quality living today. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.